Iran and India have signed a deal concerning the Chabahar port. I will let the government of India speak to its own foreign policy goals vis-a-vis the Chabahar port, as well as its own bilateral relationship with Iran. I will just say, as it relates to the United States, U.S. sanctions on Iran remain in place and will continue to enforce them.
Does that mean including against Indian firms potentially?
So broadly, Sean, you've heard us say this in a number of instances. Any entity, anyone considering business deals with Iran, they need to be aware of the potential risk that they are opening themselves up to and the potential risk of sanctions.
I did see some remarks which were made, but I think it's a question of, communicating and convincing and, getting people to understand that this is actually for everybody's benefit. I don't think people should take a narrow view of it, and they have not done so in the past. So if you look at even US's own attitude to Chabahar in the past, the US has been appreciative of the fact that Chabahar has a larger relevance. So, we will work at it.
We all know that the force that we see, certainly in the Middle East, of Iran and proxy wars, of exporting terrorism, it should be disturbing to all and any countries. We know that India is a friend. We've looked at things on a case-by-case basis. But in general, our system of sanctions against folks that are working with Iran, which is exporting terrorism, is something we take very seriously. So that will be something that we'll have to look at further, and I think that you'll see clarifications in the future.
India and Iran have just finalized a long-term 10 years contract for the development of Chabahar Port's Shahid Beheshti portion that has 5 berths, and that would mean that India will have an access to the entire Central Asia and the European region. Also, India will have direct access to Afghanistan, which has so far been largely dependent on the land routes going through Pakistan. And of course, Pakistan has used it for its strategic leverages in the past. We have all seen how hundreds of trucks loaded with wheat and flours had to wait because Pakistani government would not allow them to pass through them and reach to the people in need in Afghanistan. But India has developed this port in Iran, Chabahar port, which is also being played as a counter to Gwadar port that China is developing in Pakistan. The two ports are not very far, about 170 kilometers apart. And with the access of Chabahar port, India will be having a larger trade options with other countries. Now, the question comes that US Department has said that the entities who will be involved in the development of Chabahar port may invite potential risk of coming under sanction. And that is contradicting to something that USA has in the past said, and that was that certain waivers were granted to companies who were involved in the development of the port because it has a strategic significance, it has a trade significance, and of course it has an advantage that India would want to have in its long-term Middle East policy, and US has been appreciative of the fact. So the recent confusion could be something else. In fact, US ambassador in Delhi, recently talking with CNN News18, has also said that more clarification on the issues will be coming out soon. But External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has clearly reminded USA of his past praising of the Chabahar port and its significance. He said that they have not done so, no sanction in the past. So if you look at the US own attitude towards the port in the Chabahar, the US has been appreciative of the fact that Chabahar has a larger relevance. We will work at it. Of course, India-US partnership, which runs into $200 billion now, and we have a strong defense pact, people-to-people pact, connect, and bilateral ties encompassing almost every aspect that one can imagine, from space to defense to energy security, climate change, people-to-people exchange, education, counterterrorism, and whatnot. In that context, India-Iran partnership is something that USA has not been very appreciative of in the past, and because of the impending US sanction, India had to totally stop importing oil from Iran, which used to be one of the largest exporter of oil to India in the past. But with the Chabahar port, which has a strategic significance, which could play a role of counterbalancing Chinese Gwadar port in Pakistan, US does have some vision that this port's development would benefit India but in the longer term, it can have some strategic advantage for other Western powers in the region as well. So, how the entire development work will play out, how the US sanctions or waiver of from the sanctions will come into force if the Indian entities or Indian companies will go out and start developing work in the Chabahar port, that we will have to see. But with the two statements, one from the US ambassador, which said that he will need more clarification, that will be coming in the future. And as Jaishankar saying that USA has been appreciative of the development of Chabahar port in the past, it looks like the entire developmental work on the Shahid Beheshti part will continue, and the India-Iran deal that has just been signed a couple of days ago has been very thoughtful, and after a lot of angles were totally deliberated, then only this deal had been signed, and probably the possibility and the potential of US risk being pressed for entities involved in the development work of the Chabahar port was also considered because of the past waiver that USA had granted for the development of ports, which has a clear strategic and economical significance not only for India but other parts of the world as well.